and I'm 9:30, a half hour late for my normal 9 o'clock show, but I don't know. I guess business is getting hectic, and being a broker sometimes takes more time than you think. Anyway, we shall persevere here. We have June the 2nd stats. Here we go. We listed 121 homes yesterday, even though we put 126 under contract. I love anything that's over 100. I think that keeps us in the game anyway. So there's 2,303 single family homes on the market. How great is that? That's really, really good. We have 18.89. Let's call it 19 days of inventory. So that's good. I like those numbers. I know the first-time home buyers are probably inching out of the market a little bit, but because they're getting knocked down by the investors and the different offers and so on and so forth. But just keep communicating with them. They'll get back into the market. This frenzy is not going to last forever. Warren Buffett said yesterday that the interest rates from his vantage point, which is a pretty good one, right? That the interest rates will probably stay the way they are through the end of the year. And he doesn't want to predict more than that. So that's the good news. As we said yesterday, we're not sure what the tax proposal is going to bring us, but we'll deal with it when it happens, just like everything else. And we'll find out how to work it to our advantage. Because we're all in the same boat, remember? This isn't segregating people. We're all in the same boat. So we'll just keep on keeping on. Okay, we have sold 643 $1 million homes this year. Need to look at the right sheet here. We've sold $643 million homes this year, and we have 398 on the market. So we're doing well. We're doing 4% better than all of last year in the first 5 months of this year. So those homes keep rolling. So that means the buyers keep coming from the states where, they think $1 million home is fantastic because they're paying $500 a square foot, and here they're paying $200-300 a square foot. So anyway, life is good. We had 106 closings yesterday, and I have to tell you that I adjusted May's figure because I went back at midnight and some more people had put their closings in for May, and it brought it up to 4,223 homes sold in May, and that's 136 a day. So it upped that a little bit because I think, let me look. Yeah, we were at 133. So it upped it a little bit to 136 homes per day that we're selling. So that's really, really good. I want to talk a little bit here today about, briefly, about the median versus the average. I'm going to hide this. I took the median off of my headline up in the stats, if you noticed, probably not, but these change a little bit. April, at one point we were at 380 and we were reporting that, but then when whatever the MLS did, they did something in April. If you noticed, things moved a little bit. So moved around. I'm not sure exactly, but it did change that median to 377 from 380. But then in May, it jumped up to 388. There you go. Thanks, Karen. Not sure what's going on. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to look into it either, except to send you, how to do it. But maybe we can get together this week and fix it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for showing up. So May, we got, 388. And if you look at the average, it's 490. And we know that the average includes the average of all the homes. And so I put up here single family only. So I'm not counting condos. I'm not counting townhomes. And I know sometimes when the RJ comes out and they report, what the numbers are, or one of the title companies report what the numbers are, I think it's a good idea to make sure what their criteria was when they did the statistic, because I take only single family and I take areas 0101 to 0805. So I I don't go higher than 0805 because that's really our immediate, to me, that's the Vegas Valley. So that's how I do it. June already. Now this is like just with 2 days reporting closings. It's already at 398. Now I would suspect that's going to go down. It's going to go down, hopefully, but we shall see. Yeah, and I told you, when these first-time homebuyers start leaving the market, then that means the people that are buying homes have more buying power. So good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, great morning. Yeah. So this is, when people tell you, oh, the median is 398, you can say, yeah, but it's really, if you look back, it's really 388 for the month of May, and June, you just can't really take 2 days. And to me, anyway, that's the way I think. That's what I would say. You really need to look at 388 is the median. And I'm saying this because if y'all are going out on listing appointments, you need to know your numbers. It's very important when you go on a listing appointment that you know your numbers. And I watched something today and I was going to show it, but I didn't have time to edit it. But it was a presentation of 3 different listing agents and how they do their listings. And one of them was very interesting because you have the beginning of a presentation and the end. And what he does is he wants to be different. And he's a major producer. He's a major producer in the country. And he says, I start at the end. Here's what's going to happen when your home sells. He says, that's what I start at. And then I work backwards. And he said, the other tip I want to give you is sometimes if these people that he's presenting, he's a numbers guy, okay? So he says, sometimes since I'm a numbers guy, I can see that their eyes glaze over. And he said, he's learned this from his mentors, Tom Ferry and Brian Buffini, and I think even Mike Ferry, he's back from that era too. He says, when you're doing a presentation and people's eyes glaze over, ask them a question. Something maybe like, oh, where'd you get that pretty picture? Get off the subject that you're talking about and then bring them back. Hi, Frank. Good to see you this morning. So I thought that was a really good tip to share with everybody. So when the seller's eyes glaze over, just say, oh, what a beautiful picture that is, and get them, or like, oh, look at that family portrait or something to get them back focused to you and say, well, I just was talking about, how the median price is this. And a lot of times he said what he's learned, and he's been doing this many years, this particular gentleman. He said what he's learned is when he starts at the end and works to the beginning, people aren't so likely to ask them to list their property too high or cut his commission. So that's been his experience by starting at the end and going to the beginning. And the end for him is starting with the stats, what's going on in the neighborhood. And he says he always previews what's available in the neighborhood before he goes to the listing appointment. So he can tell them, oh, that house is listed for 380, but I see that you have marble floors, so we could up it a little bit, because it's a beautiful home. And I talked yesterday about you need to know your numbers, because if you know your numbers, you can say, I can save you this much money because we're going to do things this way. And you start putting it back to them. And he also said that he doesn't tell them his stats unless they ask, but he always has them available. And he said, you have to be able to read people. And of course, if you've taken any of Jimmy Daig's classes, in several of his different courses, his CE courses, he talks about, being able to analyze who you're talking to, the mirroring, you mirror people. Well, if somebody's not a numbers person, you might not want to get into the numbers, especially when they glazed over. You might want to get into, how much you advertise, where you advertise, what the process is going to be. We're going to get the lockbox put on right away. We're going to order the sign right away. We're going to get it in the MLS right away. We're going to get the pictures taken right away. And all this takes, now some people, I've heard in listening to these agents, they'll tell this person it takes a week because we want to come in and stage the home for you and things like that. So they'll say, we need to get started today so we can get the home in the market by next weekend. Some sense of urgency, and then also telling them what you're going to do for them. So just a few tips from Tom Ferry and Brian Buffini. The process. They want to know the process. And then once they know everything that you're going to do, then you just say, so how much do you want to list your home for? But you've already told them the numbers. You've already said, this is what's sold. This is the median price in the neighborhood. This is the 3 properties that are on the market in your neighborhood. This is what they're going for. This is how they look. And you can even take pictures of them, right? And you can say, look, this is the house down the street, da, 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 da. And that is something, who did I learn that from? I think I learned that from Knox Productions. They had some listing classes. I'm dating myself way back. But that was always something big to do, is to say, well, let me just tell you what's going on in your market. People were impressed. And how many other people are going to come up to a listing appointment if people are interviewing 2 or 3 people and say, well, I just previewed, what the competition is, and here's what the sales have been, and here's all the things that we do. You kind of put your commission in the back. Once the people see what you do and how much you put into to coming to them with information. And I also want to just chime in here. This is a little bit off the topic, but yes, you're going in to do a listing presentation. But remember last week we talked about maybe making your presentation somewhat of a buyer consultation as well, because then they know that you care where they're going to move to, how, if their house sells quickly, what they're going to do. And I think in today's market and the rest of the year, probably you're going to have to integrate that into your listing presentation. They say, well, let's start about, what if the house sells tomorrow? Do you all know where you want to go? Can I help you find that home before we put your house on the market? Anything like that is gold to these sellers, most of them, because most of them, they're moving to a different school district, or they need a bigger house because they're having children, or they're going to go to Sun City because they're going to retire and they want a senior community. So there's all types of things that, if you start out with a buyer's consultation and then start your listing presentation from the end with the numbers and what you've done, what you've looked at in the neighborhood, and go forward, it flows much better. And you know what? These 3 people that I think it was Tom Ferry who was interviewing them, and it was last September, and they all said that there was a lady and 2 fellas, and they all said the same thing. They don't talk about themselves unless somebody wants to know, how many homes have you sold in my neighborhood? How many homes? A lot of people are numbers people too. Most aren't, but when people ask you that, you want to be prepared. And you can say, our company sells, this many homes in your neighborhood, or this many homes, in the surrounding area. If you haven't done a lot of production, pull your company into it, and you can print out the stats, if you feel comfortable doing that. Like, this is what my company sold, or this is what I've sold, whatever. However you can answer that question that gives you credibility. That's probably the toughest question that I've come across that you have to answer, especially when you get a new farm, right? And you can tell them, well, I just started marketing in this area, but here's my history. I do X amount of deals. My company does X amount of deals last year, X amount of deals year to date. And you can just tell them that, you know what you're doing, and you do have to give them some feeling that the neighborhood. Again, you've previewed the homes. So anyway, especially if you're starting a new farm, you want to, as soon as you can, start previewing the listings and looking into the data. There's all types of data in the MLS that you can get from any subdivision that you're farming, so that they know that the things that have sold, and you can print out pictures. I know that one of the presentations John and I went to, when we went to a new farm, is we printed out pictures of the homes that had sold, and the homes, also the pictures of the homes that were active. And that, just showing them those pictures from the MLS. They said, oh, okay, so you're familiar with, how you sell a house, right? And you're familiar with my neighborhood. And so I just wanted to bring that into the equation because we need to be listing houses. And I talked about that yesterday. So let me put this down here. And I want to show you now. I don't know if y'all use this particular, let's see, where is it? Show this up here. Let me put the map down for a second. And that's NerdWallet. And if you are marketing, and hopefully you're marketing on social media, hopefully you're, if you're marketing agents even, on LinkedIn, however you're getting buyers or referrals, it's good to know the numbers about Las Vegas. And here's Chicago. So Chicago, if you make $80,000 in Chicago, you only have to make $67,000 in Las Vegas because the cost of living in Las Vegas is 16% lower. And the transportation is 11% lower, and the food costs are 9% lower, and the entertainment costs are 14% lower, and the health costs are about the same. And then if you want to buy a home in Las Vegas for $441,000, in Chicago you'd be paying $513,000. So it's much cheaper in Las Vegas, not just for the home, but for all those other costs. And they picked the transportation, the food, and the entertainment because those are the people's major expenses. And of course, healthcare, which in this case, it's across the board pretty even. And then if you want to rent, you can rent a home in Las Vegas for $1,176 versus Chicago. That same home, 2-bedroom apartment for rent would cost you $2,210. And you can use that in your marketing. Now, here's Denver. Denver, it's interesting. Our transportation costs are higher. And I laughed when I saw that because I've been to Denver and a lot of people ride bikes in Denver. So I didn't know if that's what made the Denver price of transportation less. But you can see in Denver, the same thing. It's 9%. The cost of living is 9% lower in Las Vegas. And, you can go to NerdWallet, and you go to NerdWallet, and it's more of a you have to kind of search for the comparison. When you Google it, say NerdWallet cost of living comparison, and then it'll take you to the right page. Otherwise, you might be like floundering around in NerdWallet because I think it's owned by Rocket Mortgage or something. So it's all about people getting mortgages too. So let's go here. This is Los Angeles, and this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. 31% lower in Las Vegas. Those are huge numbers, everybody. I mean, food costs here are 18% lower. Transportation costs are 12% lower. If you buy a home here, it's $441,000. If you buy a home in LA, 3-bedroom, 2-bath is $827,000. So this is all really good information if you are talking to, if you're doing any type of advertising on social media, or if you're looking for agents, in these different areas, you can say, here's the information that you can share. If you've got people that want to move to Las Vegas, let me give you some information so that they know you're on the top of your game and that I'm on the top of my game, and I am going to give them service that they deserve and that you would give them. So however your spiel is, you need to let people know that I understand how expensive it is to live in LA, and look at this cost savings they're going to have when they move to Vegas. And here's Orange County. Orange County, it's 32% less. Let's see what else I pulled up. Florida, it's only 10%, but still, Florida has other things, right? I mean, our food costs are lower, our entertainment costs are lower, our health costs are lower here. And that's probably because of, Florida is a haven for people moving, from the northeast coast down to the warm weather, and their age bracket is a little older. So let's look here what we have. New York, it's 60% lower in Las Vegas. Oh my goodness. Wow. Isn't that amazing? 60% lower to live in Las Vegas than to live in New York, in Manhattan. So guess what? A 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Manhattan is 2.2 million versus 441,000 here. Now, those are some numbers. I would just, and I know a lot of people move here from New York, and especially, as we start, if you start marketing now, the weather gets cold back then a lot quicker, and people start thinking, and if they know these numbers ahead of time because you've reached out to agents or you're putting this out on social media, and with social media, especially Facebook, you can target where you want your ads to go or your boosts to go. And when you show people this, because they don't know, they just know it's expensive where they live. They don't know how much they can save by moving. So this is really important. This is getting right down to it. Now, Phoenix, Arizona. Now, Phoenix, Arizona is a little bit, I would say, especially Phoenix. Now, Phoenix is a pretty big, I don't know the exact dimensions of Phoenix, the diameter in miles, but Phoenix overall, we are 3% higher. Now, that's not a lot. I know. And our taxes, though, are lower than Phoenix. So if I were going to be marketing to Phoenix, I might want to get a little bit of information on the taxes. And then I think I went into, our healthcare costs are more expensive here. But here's interesting. So if you live in Prescott, Arizona, it's 6% lower in Las Vegas. And the median priced home there is $473, and here it's $441. And that's not a big difference, but it is a difference. And our food costs are lower here, but our transportation costs are higher, which that amazes me. I guess our gas prices are higher right now. So that's Prescott. And you need to earn Boise, Idaho. Now, I was surprised about this because, a lot of people in the past 10 years have moved to Idaho. So now, because of that, it looks like, the cost of living in Las Vegas is only 2% higher. And I think at one point in time, it was much higher. Now, our housing costs are still more. You can buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house there for $356 versus here it's $441. Now, are our houses newer? Probably. Our transportation costs are lower. Our entertainment costs are lower. Our food costs are about the same. And our health costs are lower. So I don't know that I would necessarily be marketing to Boise, Idaho, because so many people have recently moved there in the past 10 years. And I mean, I know the weather gets cold, so I don't know. I might throw a few bucks at it, but when the weather gets cold, but the cost of living is not that different here except for housing. And of course, we have newer housing, and a lot of people, if you have somebody moving here from Boise, ask them how old their house is, because they don't take into consideration deferred maintenance on older houses or how much maintenance and fuel costs. They didn't even enter in the fuel costs here. So heating the houses in the wintertime and things like that are more expensive. So let's see what else we did here. Chicago, 16% lower. Wow. And let's see here. Let me hide this one real quick. And let me see if I did anything. I did this on Sunday. So, San Diego. Yeah. Cost of living here is 28% lower. You can buy a home here for 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $441. And in San Diego, it's 700, almost 800,000. So our housing costs are 46% lower. And there are people that want to move here from San Diego because of the cost of living, not necessarily the weather, because I understand San Diego has the best weather in the United States. So I'm told. That's what they say on TV anyway. But our transportation here is lower and our food costs are lower. So overall, 46% lower for housing. And then it's also an average of, let's say, 15% lower in the other areas for cost of living. So that's pretty interesting for San Diego. And Seattle. Seattle, yeah. A lot of people moving here from Seattle because it's 36% lower here. So the housing is 50-50. I mean, we're 50% lower than the housing in Seattle. So I might be marketing to agents in Seattle if I were you, and see if you can't get some referrals for people moving here. And if you give them these prices, right, the transportation costs are lower by 18%. Look at the food costs, 27% lower here in Vegas, and entertainment 31%, and healthcare is 22% lower. Wow. It looks like this might be something I would throw some dollars at on Facebook and LinkedIn to get some agents who are dealing with people that are looking to move. And, you know, people are, let's say that they're going to look here, and then they're also going to look in Arizona. So you need to look into the taxes, because I think our taxes are lower here than in Arizona. And that was Miami, which I think I already showed you. Fort Lauderdale, I didn't show you, but Fort Lauderdale's housing costs here are 25% lower. We're lower in food costs, entertainment, and healthcare is about the same. Again, transportation, I don't know why we're higher in so many ways. So if you look, what I did is I took this map and I put little smiley faces on the ones where I might start to do some marketing. Illinois, Colorado, Arizona, and then the 3 spots in California, and then Seattle, Washington. Boise, Idaho, I put it there, but only if it's wintertime, maybe. I might start throwing some dollars there in September or sometime to get agents there. And then Arizona. You know, I do Arizona a little bit, and then Boise maybe only when it's cold outside. So that's it for today. I have, let's see, I have our calendar here. Where is it? Here. Okay, tomorrow, today's Wednesday, so tomorrow from 1 to 3:30, if you go on the be.vegas and you need to sign up for the social media class from 1 to 3:30. And I'll tell you what we're going to do tomorrow. We are going to, we're going to set a business, if y'all sign up and you come, right? I know people get busy and then they sign up and they don't come sometimes, but I get that. I know, because none of this is rocket science, but I have a guide here on how to rank in Google. And first thing that, of course, you need to do is you need to have a presence on Google Business. So we're going to go over that tomorrow in class. I might do a short review on the show tomorrow just to tell you what some of the topics we're going to hit. We have had a guest, Jeff Gitland. He is a Google expert and happens to live in Las Vegas, and he happens to be working on our property management site, which I'm very excited about, to give us more of a presence. And he is just filled with ideas. But anyway, we have a CE class on Monday, agency, and that's an excellent class. Do you work for your client? And in this market, Jimmy brings in all the relevant information that you should know if you need CE classes. And then we have another one, which I love this class, and we talked about investors. So depending on what's going on with the tax situation, y'all need to take this class because it is Do You Speak Investor? So when these investors that maybe want to get into the market, they need to know how much money they're going to make because rents have increased. But then some investors may want to sell. And so I think that there's some strategies here about maybe keeping them from selling if you're managing their property, or helping them sell if they want to. Because depending on what happens with, with the tax proposal, if their capital gains are retroactive, they might want to keep their property. You know, they might not want to pay that 43% or however high it's going to be. We don't know yet. So anyway, I think that's 2 excellent classes for next week. Do you work for your client? And in this market, that's incredibly important. And then on Thursday, we're going to have from 2 to 5, which includes appetizers and refreshments. Cap rate or cash on cash, Do You Speak Investor? So thank you, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. I've had a hectic morning, so my day could only get better. Y'all have a wonderful time. See you tomorrow, hopefully 9 o'clock, hopefully.